They can get them on any online bookstore in any store, brick and mortar store as well.
Brick and mortar store as well. So can you say again, it is Booher Research?
BooherResearch.com, yes.
.com.
BooherResearch.com.
Research.com. And Booher is Booher. And we are talking about Dianna's latest book, Communicate Like a Leader, and your 48th book that you have already written, you said, is not out yet. And what is that? What do you have?
That's going to be about, I'm not giving the title yet.
Oh, okay.
It's not totally settled, but it's a book on communication, as you might imagine. It's on communication productivity.
So is there anything else we should know about millennials, or for the millennials to hear about themselves?
Well, no, because this book really doesn't focus on millennials per se. It's just some of the habits and differences in the relationship. But a key thing that I'm talking about in this book is micromanagement. You know, that's one of the things that millennials and most all, every person, every generation resent, is someone who micromanages them. And so what I like to tell people, that this book gives leaders the skills so that micromanagement never happens.
Oh.
There are really 6 fundamental communication skills that I think all leaders, no matter what they're leading, as we discussed earlier, from a family to a committee to a project or whatever, they have to have. And that is what I call strategic leadership, the strategic conversation, strategic negotiations, strategic speaking, strategic writing, and strategic meetings. Those are the 6 areas that they really have to master those skills. I mean, there's really no job that you go into, no project that you lead, no cause that you lead, that you don't have to converse one-on-one, negotiate, speak, lead meetings, write, and just have general leadership skills, which is what I call, developing your people and assigning the right tasks to the right people, etc. And but the key thing in those 6 areas, one of the key things, is a lot of times people complain about people micromanaging them in all areas, whether you're putting together a committee in your neighborhood, or you're in a school function and trying to lead a group of parents to do something, or you're putting together a charity ball, or whatever it is. People don't like to be micromanaged. And so I talk about that, what causes it, and why people do it, and how to avoid it. And if you are being micromanaged, how to survive in that kind of atmosphere, because it's really stifling, and it ruins productivity for the whole organization. It just drags you down emotionally, as well as really, being a bottleneck for the whole organization.
Absolutely. So the 6 strategies are leading, conversing, negotiating, speaking, writing, and handling meetings.
Right.
Beautiful.
All of those, have fundamental principles to do them well. And so those are the 6 areas that I've divided the book into, and each of those I've taken what I've considered out of my 30 years of coaching Fortune 500 companies, and saying these are the 6 or 8 or 10 key principles that if you master those principles in those areas, it will certainly help you master that entire area. For example, when I'm talking about meetings, leading meetings, you need to have a laser-focused agenda. Now, I know people put together agendas, but what they generally do is they put together a list of topics. Now, here's the topic we're going to talk about. Here's the time limit. Here's the topic. Here's the time limit. But I said, no. That's the reason people talk all around the subject rather than getting to a result or a decision. And instead of a topic, here's the key principle. One of the key principles I present there, and that is you want to have on your agenda a question, a laser-focused question, like, should we take our leadership team to Bloomington for a field trip to see such and such work before we purchase the equipment? And see, if that question is on your agenda, obviously when you start the discussion, you know where you're supposed to end up. You're supposed to end up with an answer to that question.
Beautiful.
So we take our leadership team to see this equipment operate before we spend $250,000 on it.
Yes.
So, it keeps you focused in the discussion. So that's just one tip, how to set an agenda. Rather than topics, you set it by questions.
It's much more intriguing and engaging, and I love how you give such simple yet profound answers for people, Dianna.
Well, I'm a practical person, and I don't, in my books, I don't like to just theorize. I really like to give people very concrete, practical tips that they can say, I can do this tomorrow. And, that's how I like to work. When I need help on a subject, whatever the subject is, I like people to give me something concrete. And so that's what I like to do in my books.
So Dianna Booher, and her book is entitled Communicate Like a Leader, Connecting Strategically to Inspire, Coach, and Get Things Done. And you also talk, Dianna, about spray painting on social media. What on earth does that mean?
Well, it's a reference to the fact that a lot of people do not have a plan. Everybody's on social media somewhere, and they're posting all the time. Mm-hmm. But many times they don't have a marketing plan when they start. They don't really know, what am I known for? What message do I want to get out? What's my brand? Where are the other people that I want to connect with? Where are they? Are they on Facebook? Are they on Twitter? Are they on LinkedIn? Are they on these two things? Do I want to curate content and actually put information out there, or do I want to find good information and then just share it with other people? Do I want to answer questions? For example, Dr. Duffy, I'm sure people are always wanting to ask you questions and have you share your wisdom as a psychotherapist. But other people think, well, maybe I'm not an expert in a certain area, but I could certainly find good content in this other area and share it. And so what I'm saying, instead of just spray information, 1 week you're this and the next week you're that, decide where your audience is, and then what can you do for them? What do you want to do for them? And be consistent in that area. Beautiful.
Yes, because there are very poignant and deep questions that people have of me, and I personally tend to write about what interests me, what inspires me, and what I think people need. But I really like the idea of inviting people to ask me questions. And you can certainly go to drduffy.com and get in touch with me. And if you have any questions for me, thank you, Dianna.
Sure.
Please feel free.
Sure.
Yes.
But, people, you get known for a certain thing, but if you just do something different, you're doing it for 2 weeks and you blog every day, and then all of a sudden they don't hear from you for 2 months, that's not a good theory for how you represent yourself. And, I did a book called Creating Personal Presence several years back. And one of the things about presence that I say is it's not just your physical presence. You have a presence online. You present yourself. And so when people read my column in Forbes, if they read it and all of a sudden I'm there every month and then I don't show up for a year, I'm going to, or I have a totally different voice. One time I'm very flippant and I'm doing something really funny, and then the next week I'm this serious, intense person. I'll come across as, a split personality or something. You'd have to diagnose me, Dr. Duffy. But that,
yeah.
See what I'm getting at. It leaves an odd feeling. People think, well, I don't really know this person. Whereas
right.
People who hear you every week, they know what they're going to get when they tune in. Mm-hmm. And it should be the same if you're a leader. That's what the section in the book, Communicate Like a Leader, about strategic leadership. When I talk in that section, you need to be consistent. When an employee walks in, they need to know when you walk in the morning, one morning you're not going to be a bear, and the next morning, you're this nice,
absolutely.
sweet person.
It is so inconsistency is so dysfunctional, Dianna, and it's in families, and that's a very hard thing on everyone. So we have just a couple of minutes left, and I want to I know it's a huge question, the idea of trust. You talk about the essence of the boss-employee relationship comes down to trust. And again, we looked at any leader and any followers. It comes down to trust. How do you improve the trust level?
I do talk about trust in that same section about leadership and developing your people. And I talk about you have to demonstrate trust to get trust. And most people they haven't thought about, well, how am I demonstrating trust? As a leader, you tell the truth, the absolute truth. If you've got bad news, you share the bad news. You give them your reasoning for decisions instead of just saying, all right, here, we decided to do such and such, and I want you to go do so and so. People have to understand how you came to that conclusion. If you want buy-in, they have to understand your reasoning for making a decision, and that's part of trust, to trust them with, how you looked at the numbers of data or whatever and how you came to decisions. And being consistent is part of trust also, that, you're not just doing lip service with the principles that you pass out, but you really live it in your everyday life. If you have integrity in the job, that your personal life matches that integrity. Showing humility, I think, is a part of trust. You can't fake being humble, arrogance comes across even in your body language, and people trust people who are more humble than people who are arrogant. They want somebody who's competent, but that's not the same as being arrogant.
I couldn't agree with you more, Dianna.
All of that's part of trust, I think.
Yes.
Trusting people to do a good job and not micromanaging, that's also part of trust.
Huge. Dianna Booher, thank you so much. Communicate like a leader, any kind of leader. If you want followers, read this book and get to the succinct points, very practical. Dianna Booher's 47th book. Thanks again, Dianna. You were wonderful. So good to talk with you. And this is Dr. Duffy Spencer saying goodbye for now and wishing you great relationships.